Hi all, I am Roland and I am the extreme digital nomad. I write code, always and everywhere. Welcome to this episode of the Augmented Software Engineering Podcast. Please read the blog post that is in the description to understand what this is all about. In the last two episodes, we talked about the functions and features we want and need, and we talked about the importance of the context, both from a size and content point of view. In this episode, we will look at the tooling stacks that are available to us. Let's get started. What I call a stack is the combination of LLM, integration, and IDE to make you more productive in a given programming language. The LLM obviously comes up with all the good suggestions and completions for a given context and a given prompt. The integration then presents these suggestions to the IDE in a way so that working with the LLM becomes seamless. And the IDE then runs and tests the code. This is a nice separation of concern and can create very productive software development experiences. I think my point here is, if you already found a stack that works for you and the languages you need, then there is nothing to do. Otherwise, you can start to experiment with different stacks until you find something that works. Let's take a look at the options. Obviously, we need to find a stack, or maybe even different stacks, that give us the best experience for different languages. For front-end and back-end languages, this is pro-baby kind of easy. But for languages that are more specialized like Terraform and SQL, you might need a stack with specialized IDEs or specialized models. There are probably more than 20 IDEs that we could list here. Some of it is probably personal preference. But in some cases, the IDE might have capabilities and functionality that makes it extra suitable for a given task or a given language. I would suggest that you start with the one that you have the most experience with and only switch to a different one if something is not working. The list of possible integrations is probably a little bit smaller. Here I would suggest that you start with GitHub Copilot. Not because it is the best, but because it is supported by most IDEs. Means if you need to switch IDEs, you can take your GitHub Copilot integration with you. One thing to point out is that things are moving fast. 3 months ago, Codium, Supermovin, and Cursor allowed you to switch between models, and GitHub Copilot did not, and that was a reason to use one of the other integrations. Today, GitHub Copilot can also switch between models. Means one of the reasons not to use GitHub Copilot just disappeared. Right now, Supermovin Pro supports the biggest context window with 1 million tokens. If this will still be the case in 3 months from now, I don't know. My prediction is that sooner or later some of the integrations will disappear. And last but not least, you need to pick a model. That probably depends on what kind of code you need to generate for what language. One other consideration could be ethical. Right now, it is my impression that Anthropic has a stronger emphasis to ensure that the models are aligned than maybe OpenAI. Means for me using and supporting Anthropic sounds like the right thing to do and the safe thing to do. Some integrations also offer custom models that you need to pay for. These custom models are specifically trained to assist with the task of software development and claim to give you better results. Not too surprisingly for now, our stack is Versus Code and GitHub Copilot using ChatGPT 4.0. We might take a look at other stacks later down the line, but this is a good start. Again, not too surprisingly, my personal stack is a little bit different. Mainly because I do not only want a stack that works, but also a stack where I can learn about and experiment with what's out there. One of my current experiments is to run an LLM locally on my machine so that I can work on the plane, even while the plane is too far up north and the satellite connection is not working. That's it for today. In this episode, we talked about what stacks are possible and how to put one together that works for you. In the next episode, we will go back to hands-on coding to solve our first problem. See you on the next episode, and please like and subscribe.